Well,
Hey
hello,
guys.
hello. I guess we're on the air again. Hi, guys.
Yes, we are.
It's my moose wave.
I'm gonna read.
Hence, away from Poke the Cow.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
I'm
like the
gonna
cow.
read a little something about what we're going to talk about tonight. The Oklahoma City bombing was a domestic terrorist bombing at the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City on the United States on April 19th, 1995. The bombing remains the deadliest act of domestic terrorism in U.S. history, perpetrated by anti-government extremist Timothy McVeigh, and his mastermind was the mastermind accomplice little Terry Nichols, who are both useless pieces of garbage. I hope Terry Nichols has got a life sentence. I hope he's somebody's prison bitch every day.
Let's
we'll
put
get
that
into
warning
that.
up here. Yeah, here we go. There you go. You're covered now.
Yeah, but they pretty much killed 168 people. 19 of them were children in a daycare in the building.
Yep.
No regard for, and it was their act of revenge for Ruby Ridge and Waco. As a matter of fact, it was exactly 2 years after the fire at Waco that they did the bombing. And both of these were Gulf War veterans, which is really aggravating me because I love my veterans, but when veterans do shit like that, I have no use for them. They should have never served in our military. They should have just went and been killed somewhere. I don't know how to say it. I wish both of them would have died in combat. That's the kind of hate I have for them too.
Yeah, it's a big one. So really, we got to look back on it. McVeigh growing up, that's a big indicator right there. When we talk about serial killers or just people, mass killings, what's their pattern, what makes them tick. He had a relatively all right upbringing, but there was a point where he became, he was a happy-go-lucky kid, and then he became very reserved. Coming into high school, he was bullied a lot. He claimed to have been bullied a lot, to the point he wouldn't talk a lot. And, so he was home, no friends really. So he became a hacker. He was hacking into government computers on a Commodore 64 back in the day.
Holy
and,
crap.
He became really good at computers. But as you go through high school, he never said anything. And when they graduate, they give out superlatives. So they get most likely to be successful in computers. Yeah, that's nice. But then as a joke, they still bullying him. They said most talkative, which of course he wasn't. So they were still kind of hitting him. And he never really had a girlfriend. He didn't really know how to talk to them. So there was that awkwardness there. He tried to be a security guy. He ended up going off into the military. And the thing is things started changing in the military, people that he talked to. But at one point, he bought a shirt that was white supremacist shirt. And the army, the army got really pissed at him. And, I think they knocked him down a little bit. But later on, he ended up becoming a sergeant somehow after that. Of course, like Blaine said, went off to the Gulf War. But during that time in the military, he met Terry Nichols, one of the accomplices. And Terry Nichols entered the Army at a very late age. He was a little bit older than all of them. And then, of course, Michael Fortier was one of the other accomplices that kind of, turned state government witness on all of them and what he knew, along with his wife, Lori. So that's kind of coming up that way. But why would Terry Nichols do this? And this is the thing that dumbfounded me. Terry Nichols grew up on a farm. So all of his jobs were always farming before he went off to the military. And we all know around that time, there was always concerts, Farm Aid, trying to help the farmers. The government was closing down a lot of these farms. Was there anger from that for government stuff? There's a possibility. But Terry Nichols really didn't show any of that. What we know that when people grow up, the psychological terms and all that could create somebody to do this. But, sometimes in the military, people go into the military and they lose their minds. Not every profession or everything we enter into, there's the really good people that are very helpful and honorable and the ones that aren't. That's what kind of happens. Sometimes the military, Full Metal Jacket, that guy just lost his freaking mind. Yeah. But, that could happen. And the way
And
they
it
talked to
does.
each other, and Terry Nichols and him latched on and just angered each other. They just kept talking about this stuff, and it just grew and grew and festered, getting up to the point where, they did start planning the bombing. So.
Yeah, it's so like you said, there's so many layers of this.
Yeah.
That two combat veterans would turn basically against their own government that, provided them their way of life, paid their salary for a long time, and to come out there as angry and vengeful and hateful as those two did.
Yeah.
That I think there was a lot of underlying things, especially with McVeigh.
Yep.
Because you always said he was bullied. And I said before we went on air, he has this type of face you just want to punch. And I'm sure bullies
some people did.
full advantage.
Would you like?
of it.
Let me show you the face again. Let me show
Yeah.
you the face again.
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm gonna get to it. There we go. There's that face again, and there's the
The composite.
See,
drawing.
isn't that a
We'll
face
get
you
into
wanna
that
punch?
one.
yeah. There's
I want to punch the one on the left as bad as I do on the one on the right.
it's close. It is close.
That's a pretty good composite. So yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I like how misshaped his head is in the drawing. That looks pretty funny though.
Well,
Like
it
he's got
is.
some
If you
walk-
look at him, if you look
Oh,
at him,
yes,
look
he
at
does
him.
have a walked head. Okay.
Yeah.
That's just the
My
picture.
next question, okay, was he dropped on his flat on his head where his head looks like that?
Yeah, I think it's just his haircut. It's
Oh.
but yeah, you could get flat up there. So now I'm embarrassed to have my haircut now after seeing that. So.
Oh no.
I know it's
But I
like
had my
wait,
haircut like this since I was in 8th grade. So
I was like,
I ain't gonna
Thomas,
change it.
you hit the
That
same
was
haircut.
before, that was before all that.
But yeah, dude, it's like, why would they do all this stuff? And the planning that went into this,
Yeah,
and they knew, and renting a Ryder truck,
Yep.
and Nichols, like you said, he was a farm kid, so he had connections. So they went and bought the ammonium nitrate, which is a fertilizer.
yeah. Now
And-
the craziest part, Blaine and Gwen, was how they almost got caught a few times trying to put this together, and nobody turned him in. One guy they just refused to sell him. It's the nitromethane, and the only people that really had it were places where they had funny cars, like race cars and stuff like that. So you would have to get it, and then to the point where one guy said no, and he turned him in, and then also, they had to work for the place now, so all these laws started changing because he was around looking for all this stuff, even at the time, and trying to get it to put this bomb together that. He read being in the military, reading magazines and all that, all the stuff that he researched. Of course, he's a computer hacker from younger age that we know, whatever he found out that way. Of course, more information now than there was then to get online. But they're putting this whole plan together little by little, like over a couple of years.
Yeah.
Just how angry do you have to be to keep that plan going?
And I don't know if it fueled them more with the stuff that went on at Ruby Ridge or the stuff that went on at Waco that fueled them and fueled them and fueled them.
Mm-hmm.
And another reason they were so pissed off because they were talking about removing fully automatic weapons.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them with Army backgrounds, like, no, you can't. That's against my Second Amendment. Blah blah blah. Well,
that was why they were mad at the Ruby Ridge and Waco.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know is when Waco was going on and there was the standoff, McVeigh actually drove there. He was there in his car passing pamphlets out about, anti-government and stuff there when it was all going on.
Yeah.
So,
And, to me, that takes a whole lot of balls because there was every kind of police officer, federal agent you could ever think of that was sitting there.
Yeah.
At Waco.
I'm surprised he didn't get put on the radar then.
That makes two of us, dude. You think
they weren't paying attention?
No, they're too.
They're supposed to be
concentrating on what's going on in front of you.
They're still supposed to be trained to what's in their surroundings.
Yeah,
because they didn't know if everybody was in the Branch Davidian house. They didn't know if there were stragglers that were outside that had weapons somewhere else. They didn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But how he got away with it's like you said, probably more distraction than it should have been. But they should have been observations of, hey, this dude's passing out paraphernalia.
Yeah. So it just really got out of hand with that. But the fact that you had him, Nichols, Fortier, all of them planning this out and maintaining that anger
Yeah.
to want to do this. But even before that, they were trying to pick a place to do the bomb. They were going to several places. And the crazy thing is some of these places had other stores in there. The one had a flower shop. So they decided not to do that because they didn't want to kill people that were government oriented. They finally picked the Murrah building, but I don't know if they knew really because they didn't want to hurt any innocents. I don't know if they didn't realize or did enough research to know that there was a daycare center.
There was an ATF office in that building.
Yeah.
There was FBI field office in that building. Yep. There was a counterintelligence in there, and they also had rockets inside the building that were for training only.
Yeah.
When the building blew, they had to evacuate the building again because an observer saw those rockets sitting up there in what was left of the floor.
Yeah.
And evacuated everybody out. And one of the things that gets me is like when they did blow up the building, it blew up a third of the building. And like I said, they didn't realize that there was a credit union in that building. There was a nursery in that building.
Here you go. Here's the building.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just with fertilizer.
Yeah. It's fertilizer and a very high test gasoline.
Yeah.
And they had a couple of detonators that were on a 5-minute detonator. I think, the bomb went off at 9:02.
9:02.
I really think he wanted it to go off at 9, but there was a delay in the detonator. So
yeah.
I believe I read that.
And one of the things too that amazes me is the rear axle of that truck was blown a block away.
Yeah.
And that rear axle weighed I'd figure a good 3,000 or 4,000 pounds with tires on it. This thing blew a block, a full city block.
Yeah.
And I think there was like 20 something other buildings were damaged by that explosion.
More than that, 300.
Yeah. 300. Okay.
Oh, and get this. People felt it 55 miles away. Felt and heard. Felt and heard. That was that's a lot.
Now this is sort of ironic when Timothy McVeigh got pulled over by a state trooper in Oklahoma. They felt the blast when he got for not having a tag on his car. They felt the blast. And from what I understand, McVeigh looked at the cop and just smiled and goes, I guess you got me now, don't you? But it didn't say it was for the bomb. He just said, you got me now because I don't have a tag.
Yeah. Yeah, they pulled him over with the tag, but has the bomb and all that, has everything was transpiring. The rescue teams are coming in. Just remember that 167 people were killed in the building. One person who was in the rescue effort was hit by falling debris, making it 168. 19 children in the daycare center.
Children.
684 people injured.
Yeah.
Just think of the mass casualty. Gwen and I used to work as medics and all that. The mass casualty situation, the hospitals, the overrun, the craziness, the chaos, the FBI trying to find out what the heck happened. As they're doing this, that axle you talked about, they track that back to the rental car or rental.
It had a serial number on it, and they matched it back to the rental company where they got the drawing of McVeigh.
Yeah, that's the composite that Gwen showed. If you want to show that again, if you can. So,
I sure will.
Yeah. This is the guy working there remembers the guy so well. I'm wondering if he had, when somebody's getting this, why do you need this? And the questions that go on. And then sometimes it sticks with you, the creepiness of some people. And that's why you kind of maybe remember a few more features than others where it's just not here you go and all that. I think that drawing is so right on.
It's scary how close
I think he had an inkling of something. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, can you imagine? Hey, how you doing? And they're walking in or he's walking in and you say, oh, well, you're going on vacation, you're moving. And he's what did he say? What did he say?
Yeah.
I mean,
he said he had to move farm equipment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If I remember correctly, you had to move farm equipment,
Yeah.
which technically ammonium
That is
nitrate
not-
is farm equipment because you use it for fertilizer.
Yeah.
But
True, but
and he rented it out in the middle of nowhere in the country, so it made sense.
oh well, yeah.
But and then once they figured out that that number was part of that axle, was part of that truck that he rented, then all hell came down.
Yeah.
It was
Well, it's
like
crazy.
started falling in place like dominoes. Doom,
Yeah,
doom, doom,
'cause
doom,
the
doom.
crazy part is they said the composite, they had the fake name, but then they found out what his real name was. And they went to go find him. They found him. He was already in prison for the missing tag and having a weapon in the car.
Yep.
And so,
Okay.
why would you drive a getaway car with no license plate?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
he was caught with a Glock 9, which is not used, but that's what he caught with a Glock 9.
Yeah. So
Glock 19 9mm.
yeah, it's almost like he wanted to get caught. You make all this planning and you put together all this stuff, and you're 2 minutes off the time that you wanted to do, but yet you're in a getaway car with no tag on it.
Well, he
What are
wasn't
you
the
doing?
brightest crayon in the box, let me tell you.
But I'm glad it did happen that way because
I am
they
too.
caught him a lot quicker. So,
I was thinking the same thing. I said, what if that cop had caught him when they were still driving the truck?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Would they have blown up the truck to just to martyr themselves from getting caught?
I don't know. I don't know if it would work that way because they didn't strike me as somebody that would martyr themselves. There was nothing written unless, I don't know if he had anything written with them in case they got caught or.
There was no manifesto that I know of.
Yeah.
And most of their plans were done by straight telephone.
Yeah. Yep. But the crazy part is the FBI, when they investigated all this, they had so much information. There was they said, I think, 1 billion pieces of information.
Yeah.
During this whole thing. Yeah. I mean, everything, receipt, you name it, whatever, I's dotted, T's crossed. They didn't want this, to happen again because, just before that, a lot of these things went into more these government buildings because just a few years before was the World Trade Center bombing, the one in 93.
Yep.
Right.
So there was a lot more security put up, and for them to still be able to do this shows us that the security isn't what it's supposed to be.
Not at all.
But it really shows you these military, government installations. It even goes back. I don't know if you guys, Navy SEAL Team 6.
I know SEAL Team 6 well.
So SEAL Team 6 used to have a special unit called Red Cell, where they would videotape and break into places to show that their security was bad and how to fix it and make it better so the terrorists couldn't get in and do stuff like this.
Right.
But the government, these places, these generals at these places were getting embarrassed. And of course, they did the political thing and got rid of Red Cell, and Dick Marcinko, who was heading it up at the time, ended up in prison somehow with some stupid pencil pushing thing or whatever. But these guys were in there to make them safer, but these other people were more worried about, through my safety, I want to think about me being general and having power politically. That's the problem with our country. I'm not against the government. I want people to understand and take responsibility and all that instead of it being about them.
Yeah. I mean, their little arrogance cost 168 lives, 19 children, and over 600 something people injured from that.
My thing said 800.
It might be 800. Yeah, that's just because of their ego. You're looking at 168 people and about 800 injured. Yeah. And some of those people probably are injured so bad that they lost legs or arms, or they're paraplegic now, or they're complete mental cases because of post-traumatic stress disorder from that.
Yeah, some of them could be dead by now from suicide. I didn't really look into that, but there's that.
I do have one little snippet for you. The youngest child is now 31. Yeah, it said
that survived. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and he is seriously injured, but he does some. He's living. He's doing things.
That's wonderful.
And this little girl, who's the famous picture, I'm gonna go ahead. It breaks my heart, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up. Forgive me if I cry. Her name was Bailey. And she died, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah. And he knew it was a daycare in that building. So that's
Yeah. So
But he probably
didn't know?
considered it they're children of, government officials and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
And a lot of them wasn't, though. That was just a daycare center that families that worked around the area brought their kids to.
Yeah.
Right.
There was very few of them that actually worked in the building. They worked in other buildings downtown, and it was convenient for them to put their kids in that, what they thought was a safe place.
But that's the thing that drives me crazy, especially with kids. They haven't even gotten to live yet.
No.
Right.
The other one's 31, you said, and he's doing some good stuff.
The youngest child that was there. I think he was like 18 months, I believe.
Yeah, it had been about a year because it's been 30 years since the bombing. Was it 39?
Yeah, it was
30 years.
Yes.
95. So
yes, it's been
it was just 30 years last month. April, what was it, 18th, 19th? So but you think about that girl Bailey there, and it's a sad picture.
Yep.
But if people did their job and all that, instead of turning their heads and instead of the people at Waco just concentrating too much on one thing and putting somebody on the radar and watching, Bailey could be a doctor that cures something. So we're not going to know.
Be somebody that invents something that's a lifesaver or monumental for humankind.
Yeah.
But they never get that chance because some two idiots decided to just blow up a building because we're mad at the government today.
And you could show how much they're idiots, because the thing that still gets me is, how dumb are you to try to escape a scene that you just detonated a bomb with no plate on the back of your car?
Exactly. What?
I thought you planned this.
That's like getting your ass pulled over 101.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
you get the Roy A. Dumbass Award.
Yeah.
Oh
my God.
Major crime, but you're going to go in a car that has no tag, that you're a pullover magnet right away. Because any cop sees you got no tag, they're like, whoop, whoop, you're dead. You're on. And that's free money for the county or the city this week.
Well, let's put it this way. They caught him quick, which means there wasn't a lot of money that had to be paid for the FBI to go hunt them down.
Right.
But there already was a ton of money. I think it was $640 something million that it took to of damage. The Murrah building and the 300 buildings around it. So automobiles that were there, the insurance that goes in, all that. But
you think in today's money that would have been in the billions of dollars?
Yeah. Yep. So we're talking 30 years ago. So.
Yeah.
It was
more
like $100 million 30 years ago. Now it'd probably be about $6 or $7 billion, if not more.
Yeah, probably the way things are now, a loaf of bread and I don't want to get into that one. That one makes me sick. So
these down here, the prices are coming down, so it must be up north. Y'all ain't got the prices lowered yet.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be real with you. I don't eat bread anymore, but everything is a little higher. So
everything is. Who
right
knows?
now here is coming down. So eggs were like $2.50 a carton the other day when I bought them. Milk was down to was it $2.72 a gallon, which is not bad.
That's about the same as mine.
Well, I think a lot of the stuff that's going to go up is just stuff that we get from overseas. Hey, we got milk here in the U.S., eggs. So that stuff's going to go down. Other things might go up, but I still think they'll go up a little, but I think it'll come back. I think it's who's going to blink first kind of thing going on right now.
Well, I'll just go and say this: China blinked today, so
yeah.
But going back to the McVeigh and Terry Nichols, it's like,
why don't we say for anybody that's just tuning in, we're talking about the Oklahoma City bombings.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen, I'm gonna show that picture one more time. There you go. Two guys that were mad did that.
Rental truck filled with over 900 pounds of
fertilizer.
Ammonium nitrate.
Well, thank you. Ammonium nitrate.
Nitromethane. So
nitromethane, and I believe they actually started it with probably just flares, or either that they had some kind of explosive. But
there's some charges in the way they put it in the car.
It was designed as a net.
they originally wanted to do it so it pointed. So when it went off, it went more because it probably would have took more of the building down, but they couldn't do that because the car would have leaned.
Well,
Oh,
they
yeah,
put,
true.
they
They had
put
to
it
do
in
something different.
an S figure inside the back of the truck, so it was an S figure.
Yeah.
And which was they calculated that it would have this much explosive power.
Mm-hmm.
They thought at first it was just going to take maybe 1 or 2 floors. They didn't realize it was going to blow up a third of the building.
Yeah.
I mean, good God.
And think about the foundations of the other buildings. I know that was I remember that it just messed up the foundations of
Yeah,
many
messed up
buildings.
everything. I mean,
Yeah.
good Lord.
Yeah.
I bet you still to this day there's issues.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
bet you there is.
Dude, I bet that have they had so many buildings? Probably, if building inspectors went inside them now, it would probably be condemned for structural failure.
Yeah. Yeah. What does it take to, do you have to I think they took the Murrah building all the way down.
Yeah, they
It's a
demolished it.
memorial.
Years later, yeah.
It's a memorial, and I know it's huge.
Yeah.
But,
Was sad. Was not sad, but they used less explosives to bring the building down than McVeigh and Nichols used to blow it up.
Yeah. It's crazy because the thing is the supernatural side of it makes me think is
dude,
that humanity in there and what happened is what's still around,
Dude, I
you
bet
have that
you
eerie
know.
feeling when you go in, like some of the other places, like if you walk onto Auschwitz, if you go by the World Trade Center area, even in Hawaii, you go on the Arizona there, the memorial. I've been on it. It's dead quiet on there.
I'm not going to Arizona. I've cried.
Yeah,
because there's so much built up energy, anguish, fear.
yeah, of course you did.
Confusion.
Yeah.
And you think of the Murrah building, dude, there's 168 people that died.
Yeah.
And the energy in that place, I bet if you went there and just sat with a recorder, you would probably catch 500 EVPs in an hour, if not less.
It'd be hard to discern. I know. People reaching out.
Like a crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine us as empaths, all of us? We would be a mess. We would be a mess.
And I'm not even there, and I feel it right now.
Yeah, I have like chicken skin cold.
Yeah, just talking about it. It's almost like the spirit world has no boundaries right now. When you're talking about something and you're putting energy into it.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people a lot. Even with the bad cases I've had, I don't talk about them because I don't want to bring that energy back or reactivate something at somebody's home because I'm talking about it. But even talking about it, we want to remember the victims. That's very important.
But
also teaching people, look out for these signs. These people, this McVeigh just going around buying all this stuff. It's like, why is he buying all that? Maybe we should get somebody to check him out. Nobody ever did that. So.
I think now there's like a limit on like farmers, how much ammonium nitrate they can
have. And you have to, I do know this, if you certain chemicals of any kind, you have to, they have to check, they have to have a check, and there's a bank, data bank that it goes to.
Yeah.
Anything that's sold like that and you have to have ID. Yeah.
I mean, and I can see, okay, if you're a normal Joe farmer over here and you need to fertilize your field because you planted corn this year, you're going to do soybean this year or cotton or whatever you're going to plant. Well, you got to re-nitrate or you got to re-fertilize the soil because the last crop took so many minerals and stuff out of the soil.
Yeah.
I understand it, but when he went to God, he got more than most people with 1,000-acre farms would use.
Yeah, it's nuts. And the thing with that is, look at farmers now. They're up against it. They can't just do their jobs anymore because of somebody like that. There's like new government units invented, the domestic terrorism unit, and of course, other things that happen. They add on these, units to track this stuff down.
Yeah.
But I hate it. Why does it always come to something like this?
That's what I want to know.
We have enough knowledge. Let's be wary of who's around us, our fellow man. If something doesn't look right, say something. You could save 160. I mean,
even if nothing comes of it, but it stops something from happening, you did what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And this is another weird thing for me. It's like, when I first heard the story, I thought they were part of a militia. They wasn't. It was them four.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to start their own militia because they thought the other militias. This is what I've read and heard that the other militias was not evil enough to get their point across.
Yeah.
What?
Like, huh? Okay.
Yeah. So 4 guys go and rent a truck, get all this stuff.
Well, there was a female.
Obviously, obviously they'd been in the building to check it out.
Actually,
I
no.
mean,
They
no?
never stepped foot in the building. They had rode past it 2 days before on a dry run with a car.
Huh.
Matter of fact, it was
No,
the
no, I
same
didn't
car
know.
that McVeigh did not have his tag on. Same
Yeah.
car.
What?
And they looked, and for the most potential time, there would be the most people in the building. That's why they settled for 9 o'clock, because most people have already started work by 7:30, 8 o'clock, and the baby's already in their daycare.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's the building that had the most government workers in at one
Oh,
time.
that's true.
So,
That's true.
because some of the other ones they looked at, there was a flower shop in there. They're not, it's like they cared about them, but you got innocent kids in there, whether they knew or didn't know. I don't, you said they know. I didn't find anything about that, but
well, that too, and it was not only the children there was a credit union there that had nothing to do with the government.
Yeah.
It was just a local credit union.
Yeah.
Can y'all see the question?
It could be, Sean. It very well could be. I know if they would have never got caught for Oklahoma City, they had 4 other buildings they had planned to blow up as well.
Yeah.
But luckily they got caught. So, and plus that, they wasn't part of a militia. So they didn't get to blow the other buildings, and there was nobody backing them up, which I'm glad there was no copycats of them. Oh
no.
Well, Sean did ask something that I think if it was a Manchurian candidate type of thing, really that stuff that the government did back in the day to train military soldiers and all that, the old Sirhan and all that stuff, that was like years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the time the project was going on, or whatever they called it, I forget what they called it, but McVeigh and all them weren't even around yet. So I really don't think it's a Manchurian candidate, because I don't think they kept that up. If they did, none of us are going to know about it if it's a government.
No, and I can tell you the training they took over at Fort Benning.
Yeah.
Mostly it was Ranger training. Mostly it was airborne training.
Yeah.
Tank training. Normal, what they call 11 Bravos, infantry training. Mm-hmm. They shot their guns quite a lot. They had some knowledge of some explosives.
Yeah.
Mostly small arms explosives like hand grenades and mortars and bouncing betties and stuff like that. But they did a lot of research on what would be the best ingredients to make a very large bomb that will blow up a huge surface. And ammonium nitrate was the thing that worked.
Yeah. So the project, it just came to me. It was the MK Ultra stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
Back in the day. So yeah, McVeigh and them are all before that. So I don't think. I think it was just their anger at the government. You go through military stuff. Even some military veterans, how mad they get because they can't get medical care. And they got to wait forever. And there's these little things, and some people that don't have that mental maturity, they let things fester. And you're angry, you yell, but we did get angry. That's fine, but to kill 168 people and injure almost 800.
I can tell you right now. Okay, I've got. I'm waiting on 2 doctors to tell me something on my shoulder, if it's cancerous or not, to get that growth removed. And I've got what they call a Sashitsky ring at the bottom of my esophagus. I'm still waiting on a doctor for that. Yeah. I'm angry about it. I've tried to call it, but I'm not at the point where, hey, I'm going to go blow up and kill 168 people because I didn't get my doctor's appointment. I'm going to be patient with it, but it's irritating, but not to the point where I'm going to go hurt.
Yeah.
Or hurt and maim and kill over 600 something people. No.
Yep. It's
Hey,
the
plus-
thing is that's people that just think about themselves.
Yeah.
So these guys are thinking about themselves, and they did the same thing that they thought. The government people only think about themselves. So
Yeah.
the selfish stuff just all going on.
Yeah.
So you're going to do something selfish against people you thought were selfish. So, two wrongs don't make a right, I guess.
Oh,
But,
sure.
old cliche.
And you Thomas, Blaine, yeah, both of y'all taught me something, in the last couple of years that pay attention,
Yeah.
be aware. And I was already aware, but now I pay attention even more.
Yeah.
Always
And I
aware of
look.
your surroundings. Always.
Yes. Well, I always did that anyway, just because of training. But now I look in people's eyes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I pick
And
up
I
their energies. It's like, okay, am I going to completely avoid this person, or am I walk past them?
Yep.
And do I feel comfortable enough to get within that proximity of that person, or I'm going the hell out of the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
of our instincts.
Yeah. My thing is if I'm looking you in the eyes, for somebody like us, all of us here, you can't hide your intention.
No.
Your eyes will give it away every time.
And we can see through to your soul. I can tell you that your soul is bad or your energy is bad. And Glenn can, and so can Thomas. We know right away. You can't lie to us.
Yeah.
There are people that I will smile. If say we're at a booth at a con, I will smile and I will look at them and I will clock them and say, And I will look at anybody that I care about and people that I don't even know. And I'll be like, just don't.
Yep.
I will do it. I don't care what people think. I will do it because if it's
you got to protect you. If you don't protect you, you can't protect anybody else. So.
Nope.
Right. But I will quote Lee and Matt. Some people have soul stank.
Oh, they do. Oh,
yes.
I call it stanky soul for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Soul stank. And you can tell.
Yeah. They got
is that the hashtag? Hashtag
stank soul.
There we go.
Stank ass soul.
There we go. What are we going to do?
We got to get our hashtag up for the day.
All right. What are we going to do? Hashtag what? Soul
stanky
stank?
soul. Soul
stank,
stanky soul. Either one's good. It's the
stanky
same
soul. Yeah. Be careful of the people with the stanky soul.
If you got a stanky soul, don't come rear me.
Is that spelled right? Y'all gonna have to tell me. STANKYSOUL. That sound right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
There we go.
It's our own words. We spell them the way we want to, right?
Yeah.
Stanky soul.
There
That's
it
it.
is.
There you go. Perfect.
That's it. Thank you, soul. So I have one little tidbit. The trooper that stopped McVeigh, his name was Charlie Hanger. What made him? Did something tell him not just the tag, but something say, I need to stop that man.
No, the only thing he saw was as a cop.
Mm-hmm.
First thing you look at, see if it has an operating tag, which means it's legal.
Right.
It is up to date. They're trained to that. That's what caught his eye. Nothing else about the man caught him. But as soon as he got up to and saw the tag was there, and that was it. That's all he needed. He had probable cause to pull him over. And then anything he else found beside that, that was all on McVeigh for having whatever he had. Like the 19.
Well, I'm thankful that he paid attention and saw that no tag.
But that's what happens when you pay attention.
Yeah.
Yep. That's an example right there.
Good things could happen if you it's the same thing in life. What was it? Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly.
Take the shot, man.
Yeah.
It's have confidence. If you're confident in your gut and what you see and what's going on, if something doesn't feel right, do something about it, but keep yourself safe at the same time. So,
I thought that. I think that was an act of good karma that the cop pulled him over.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think karma came back to bite Timothy McVeigh in his ass.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
And no telling how many other lives they saved because he caught him on a traffic violation, a freaking misdemeanor tag.
That is stupid. Stupid criminals. Why would you not have a tag? Why?
Yep. Yeah.
Why would you not have a tag?
The serial killer was caught that way. His tag was hanging off. The tag was hanging off, right? So the cop pulls him over. Hey, your tag's hanging off and all that, and it just didn't feel right. And there was a dead body in the trunk.
Awesome. Well,
the guy takes off. The cops chase him. So
Mhm.
in the chase, they finally caught up to him. He crashes his car right in front of the courthouse where they convicted him.
It's not, y'all. It is funny. It
Poetic justice. Well, hell,
yes,
was it Bundy
that's
got
karma.
caught on
Yeah,
a
that's
traffic
karma
violation
right there.
in Pensacola? Yeah,
Yeah.
Bundy got caught on a traffic violation in Pensacola
Yeah,
because he had a stolen car and was too stupid to get at least change the tag or steal another car. But the car had been reported stolen.
yeah,
The cop sees this on his hot sheet and he's like, "All right, this is an easy this is an easy arrest."
yeah.
Yep.
Not to know that, but it was funny. Bundy actually tried to fight him, like fist fighting.
Yeah.
And this guy, and I'm sorry, this cop was not a small man. He was probably 3 sandwiches short
Yeah.
of a 12-pack of sandwiches.
Blaine.
That's another good one. Might be a
There
little
you
long,
go.
but that's a good one too.
Asia's saying good shirt. She likes
Oh.
your shirt. Yep.
Glorious weirdos.
Glorious weirdos.
But yeah, that was.
Yes, we are.
He tried to fight the dude. The big dude.
Yeah.
I mean, whooped the bricks off of him. I mean, when you see his arrest photo, his eyes all blacked out, his cheeks swollen up like a chipmunk. I mean, this dude just, I guess he put all 300 pounds of him into effort when he was popping him in the face. I mean,
yeah. I tell you, some of the most notorious serial killers were all caught with traffic violations.
Yeah.
Look at Berkowitz. They found him because of a parking ticket.
Yeah.
His car was parked in the area where one of the killings happened. So, but I don't know. That's good police work sometimes, paying attention to what's going on around you. But you don't have to be a cop to pay attention either. So,
Ramirez didn't get caught on the traffic violation, but somebody had reported his car, his little Toyota Corolla, leaving the scene.
Yeah,
somewhere.
that's somebody paying attention.
And the car was stolen, by the way.
Yeah. So, McVeigh gets arrested and all that, and they go through this court case that didn't really take long. But McVeigh, of course, got the death penalty. They had to move the case. Of course, they're not going to have it in Oklahoma.
No.
They ended up moving it to Denver, Colorado.
Yeah,
that's where the actual thing happened with him and Nichols and Fortier, him and his wife. It was all out there in Denver, Colorado. But the crazy part is McVeigh got the death penalty. Terry Nichols didn't.
Yeah.
Out of all the people that were killed, Terry Nichols, if you really look at it, he has 161 lifetime sentences.
Yeah.
So he's going to be in jail for the next 161 of his lives, if you really want to look at that. That would be pretty good, huh?
What do they do that?
Spirit left and you went back into another body, and then you
wow.
again.
Sounds one is like, okay, all right, just say he dies at like 70 something in prison.
Yeah.
They just throw his ass in a coffin and stick him in a closet and let him serve out 169 more death sentences.
Yeah. Don't give him a burial until
that's my plan.
My question is why did they not go ahead and get rid of him? I don't know.
I think there was maybe an evidence turn, Nichols against making McVeigh, but the same thing with Michael and Lori Fortier. I think it was Michael Fortier still served time. I think it was like 12 years and a $75,000 fine for not saying anything.
Yeah. And all it pretty much was Timothy McVeigh and Nichols spent the night at his house.
Yeah.
And just told them, hey, we've got something coming up. Never told them what they were going to do. Yeah. But as soon as his name popped up to the police, he was squealing like a little pig.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't shut up. So him and his wife are now still in witness protection.
Yeah. Well, once they got out of jail, they put him into witness protection. Yeah. So just remember, people, you can meet this nice couple. Probably a little older now. It's been 30 years. So I don't know how old they were at the time. They probably might be in their 50s, 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And they could be living right next door to you. Don't even know.
Yeah. Don't even know. So think back, 12 years after that, probably early 2000, mid 2000s, maybe got out, witness protection. Hey, did a couple move in next year around that time?
Yeah, I was going to say.
You know, so
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
true.
Well, and I
It's
know the
crazy.
reason that Nichols didn't get the death penalty. He did not commit the actual crime. All he
Yeah.
did was help
Build the bomb
build the bomb. He helped him place the ammonium nitrate buckets or
because of his farming. He had I think he was a silo manager for the corn silos or something at the time. So yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know.
Yeah.
Something
And
to do with that.
Thomas is probably right. He probably ratted out McVeigh.
Oh, yeah.
He says, look, I'll tell you everything you want to know. Just please don't give me the death sentence.
Yeah.
I'll take all the life terms you want to, but I don't want to die.
Yeah.
McVeigh was sitting there in court. It's like, I'm ready to die. Y'all can kill me today. I mean,
But
if it was me.
Then why did he not stay in the building in the truck?
Because he's a coward.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
So around the time that the bombing all happened, there was a little building being built, and where was it? Florence, Colorado. And it came about right around that time after the court case was all over. They all ended up at that ADX there. It's a supermax prison where all the high profile inmates go. And you want to know something really weird? There was a cell block at this prison at one time. I'm going to name them all off. They called that area, the cell block, Bombers Row.
Yeah.
McVeigh was in there before they brought him to Indiana to execute him. Ramzi Youssef, who was one of the people that did the bombing of the World Trade Center. Eric Rudolph, the bomber of the Olympic site. Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber.
Unabomber was there. I mean,
and then a little later after that, the kid that did the Boston Marathon bombing ended up in there too. So they're all in there. They called it Bombers Row. They're all in the same cell block. So.
Can you imagine those 4 or 5 serial bombers?
Yeah.
Having conversations. Well, what would you have used different? What would you have used?
Yeah.
And
they're probably trying to show who had a bigger one, whose bomb made the most damage, you know?
And I'm glad all of them
messed up.
And I love the fact that those people in that prison don't get any outside time at all.
Nope.
They don't come out of their cells at all. They're fed all 3 meals in there.
Yeah.
If they have to see a doctor and 5 guards go in there with them, and they're strapped down and they are handcuffed and not being able to move.
Yeah. Well, they do get an hour a day. It could be night or day. But when they bring them out, they could take them in this area where they could see the sun, but they're cuffed.
Yeah.
The whole time. So
plus they have no internet privileges, no phone privileges. Yep. They can't write outside of the prison. They can't accept letters, gifts, anything. Yeah. Everything they do is controlled. And when one of them dies, they'll replace it with another sorry mother chucker.
Yeah, that Supermax is crazy because there's so many high-profile people at that ADX there in Colorado. Who's the other one? The Russian spy there, Robert Hansen. He's there.
Robert Hansen's there. The Beltway sniper. He's in there.
Yeah.
Let's see. El Chapo is in there now. A couple of big drug cartel leaders are in there.
You ain't getting out of a Supermax.
No. That's like the Hotel California. You can check in, but you can't check out.
Yeah, you'll check out when you're dead. And even then, like I said, Nichols, when he dies, his soul will probably know that God won't let him leave. Say, hey, you still got 160 more lives before you can leave your soul.
I hope that's what it is. I hope so.
Like I'm counting each life for 70 years. So multiply that by 168 times. Yeah. That's how long you're going to dwell in this location.
Yeah. Now, I want to tell you guys something. I know we're getting close to the hour, but I think that
we got a message too. Let me.
Yeah.
I don't know who this Jeannie Pearl. I feel about it. Okay.
Jeannie, who are you talking about?
I don't know, Jeannie.
I think she's scamming. So
Okay.
That she's one of
Well,
those people that says you have something around you, call you so I could read you or whatever. Yeah. Just
well,
get her
I could
off
take
the
care of
thing.
that. So
Yeah,
I
we
was
don't
just,
want any of that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
people,
really?
none of that. You're talking to two shamans and a psychic medium. So
Yeah.
I don't think we need your help. I think we already understand what's around us.
And
So,
evil don't come around us;
yeah.
it runs from us.
I thank you for watching, even every way. If you were watching or just trying to use our audience to do something like that,
Yep.
that's stupid. So, but God bless you.
She
But-
had stanky soul.
Yes, thank you. So,
That's for her.
Yeah.
That's for her.
yeah,
So,
never solicit what somebody is not looking for. So,
there you go.
no.
let me get back to it. So, when they moved McVeigh out of Colorado to Terre Haute, Indiana, that's
Mhm.
where they were going to put him to death by lethal injection. Now, we know when they put him to death, it was on June 11th, 2001. Now, when we look at something evil and all that, what does it usually do? Like knocks 3 times? You have the mocking of the Trinity, in threes.
Mhm.
What happened 3 months after June 11th, 2001?
9/11.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's when I saw that, I was like,
Yes, I did not.
that's where the
Yeah.
conspiracy theories come in and all that. These people flew planes into it, but was there this bigger thing going on? Because even, he said, I wanted to be at 9 o'clock. I wanted it to be in correspondence to this. And then also, you're mocking of the Trinity. And then 3 months later, they're blowing up and flying planes into the World Trade Centers.
You know what else gets me too is when he got arrested and they got him had all the proof they needed to charge him and arrest him. He asked for a bulletproof vest because he was scared somebody in the crowd was going to shoot him while he was getting transferred.
Oh my goodness.
I bet you there was a ton of people that did.
Oh,
in there's some Billy redneck over there going 500 yards. I could talk him out right here with my 30
Yeah, but I think Oklahoma at the time was just like Texas. You could carry and stuff like that.
People strapped. I mean, they're walking around with machines on their backs, 6 shooters on their sides, 9mm, anything they could think of. And that's all that he was scared that somebody was going to kill him before he got to trial.
Yeah.
He should have been scared. Yeah.
Well, this is the bad
just because of the children.
Yeah. He said, I just didn't want to die that way because I want to make sure that the victims suffer for what I did. I'm like, I wish somebody just tri-capped him right in the head. Triple tap, boom, 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 dead.
That's another reason why I'm glad I wasn't a CO at that prison.
Dude, can you think, okay, you know as well as I do, you hurt children, especially killed 19 of them.
It's messed up.
Dude, they couldn't put him in general pop. He would have lasted about 10 seconds before it'd have been, all right, Chomo, dude, you're dead.
Yeah.
There'd have been 15, 20 of them just cutting him like he was just a bad steak.
Yeah. Well, he's lucky that he went to that Supermax, because even if he was at a regular maximum prison, somebody could have got to him. So.
Dude, in the max prison, they would have got him.
Yeah,
because if they
Supermax, you can't get to each other. It's impossible. Everybody's totally separate. There's no sitting, no having, maximum prisons. There's people in the lunchroom with you, with all the guards watching. There's those 2 times you have your rec time. Because I worked at a max prison, and you have those 2 times that things could happen. Even to the point where we had a dorm that was called Charlie Dorm, and that's where all the pedophiles and child killers and all that were all, and that was separate from everything, because they knew if we put them together, they're all gonna, something's gonna happen. So
that's what I always disagreed with. It's like, okay, if you're evil enough to be a chomo, you should be evil enough to stand in general population.
Yeah.
See how long you last. Because save the taxpayers a lot of money on you.
Exactly. It's like, I don't want to pay for somebody that did this,
No. No, I don't.
Once you're convicted, something like that, that's a open and shut case where there's no way that you could say it wasn't them.
Yeah.
Take them out back and shoot them in the head.
Thank you. Yes.
And I'll give them all the 33-cent bullets they want.
Yeah.
Take them out one at a time or stack them up. I don't care because what they did has no deserve to be alive anyway. And why should our taxpayer dollars have to support them, feed them, clothe them, medicate them, give them a free education after what they did to children? No. That's a special
the problem is these people get fed better than some of our military vets that are homeless.
Dude, I can tell you that for a fact.
You know, the stuff that makes us pissed off, you know. We get very angry about this stuff. Yeah, we're not going to go kill 168 people.
No.
But the thing is, we have an open dialogue, and people out there, you know, be the solution, not the problem. You know, and these guys are the problem. So they could come up with solutions for themselves to live a normal life and, you know, be grateful for what they had. They have to just be selfish and screw everybody.
And the 168 souls that were taken that day, all three of us feel their energies. And I've been sending energy to them the whole time we're on the show, telling them, you don't have to stay here any longer.
Yeah.
Go be with your family. Time for you to leave. No, you don't have to stay here anymore. And that anguish goes away. And I'm helping do that. I can feel so many of their souls crossing over to where they need to go to.
Yeah.
And not have that constant memory of being blown up over and over and over and over again until eternity ends. No.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we want to do is help the souls of all these victims. They were innocent, didn't do a damn thing to these people.
Yeah.
And they didn't deserve that violent death.
That's why we do this show.
Yep.
Yes.
We remember the victims, and when you do that, we're telling the story of what happened. When you tell people's story and they're remembered, they don't have that second death where you mention them and what happened to them, and that we care and want to keep telling the story to educate people. You know, that's when the souls they vibrate.
Yep.
And come back and they're thankful and they're grateful, and they might make the decision to leave, and hopefully they are, you know, because at one point, I don't know anybody watching, but I know the three of us, when we showed that picture of the child, things started vibrating even more.
Oh yeah.
I heard something. I don't I want to actually play it back and see what I hear.
Because there was a child cry both times you showed the picture of that child.
Yeah.
And if we can help any of those souls be a voice for them because they didn't have a voice, I'll be more than happy to speak for all 160. And I know Thomas will. I know Gwen will. Yeah. And if Lee was here with us, she would too.
She would anyway. Yes.
Whether she just anybody watching tonight. You know, I know the three of us are going to leave and pray for their souls to help in any way that we know within our expertise. And anybody out there, just say a prayer for all these people. Yeah, it was back in '95, but the spirit world has no time.
Exactly.
It could have been just yesterday for them. We need to help. We need to help the souls of what we talked about today.
Yeah. And
not let that trauma of these idiots like McVeigh and Nichols and their selfishness, you know, to keep them there, you know.
Is Nichols still alive?
He's still sweating in prison. Like I said, I hope he's somebody's prison.
Well, also the other guy who got off in witness protection, and man,
I hope all those souls come to them and really make it miserable. I really do.
And hey, can I go ahead and tell them what show we're doing next week, Thomas?
Please
do that.
We're going to do the Karen Reed case up in Massachusetts.
Oh,
she's accused of killing her cop boyfriend. Yeah. That's going to be interesting because there is so much onion levels to this one.
Oh my God, there's so much stuff going on, and the retrial,
the first trial, you're like, there's no way she got convicted. Then it went to hung jury, and you're like, okay. And then the second one so far, I'm not going to give anything away, but the witnesses that were at the first trial are getting their asses reamed. I mean, just that Jackson guy who is her lawyer, I'd love to have that guy as my lawyer because he is eating them a new booty hole. I'm telling you. I've been watching. It's funny. I'm supposed to be at work, but every day the trial pops up, I'll have it up on my desk with my phone right here. And I'm sitting there listening to and watching the trial while I'm working. Because I can't, I want to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
But when we do that one next week, you guys, and this case is in the news right now. So,
yes.
And if you want to do a little research on it. I believe it's on HBO Max. Is like the first part of her first trial. It goes through like all the stuff.
I'm looking it up. I think it is. I think it is.
Well, just anybody watching that watches us every week, research it yourself, because I'd love for you guys to ask questions just to keep the narrative going. That'll be great. We always want you to be active in what we're doing and learn, and maybe you might have something that's going to help us out with the show. So always be ready for it. We want you to get involved because we're very grateful that you watch, and so just make sure you're ready for.
We thank y'all because it means a lot to us that you all the entertainment choices you have, and you come and watch us. That means a lot to us.
Yeah,
it makes us feel like we're doing the right thing, that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Yes.
Because without you guys, we'd just be here just bullshitting with each other.
Yeah.
So
and don't forget, if you miss part of an episode, you can go back on YouTube, mine, Lee's,
Spotify,
Blaine's, Spotify. Yeah, because I got
Spotify
to load
comes
more.
in beautiful. Let me tell you, whoa!
It really sounds like we are sitting at a table in the same room.
It does. It is perfect.
Awesome.
And the video quality is so good.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah.
And, hey guys, let me lead us out of here with a little Cherokee saying.
Yes.
We need it for those souls. So.
Yes.
Great Spirit, watch all over us. Take care of the souls that have been lost because of this tragedy. Great Spirit, let them walk with you. Take care of them because we honor them and we love all of them. So take them in your hands and let us bring them joys. Aho.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Blaine.
Thank you.
I'm crying. I'm the crier in the group. Okay.
That's a powerful episode today, I think. Yeah. I was starting to get pissed off with some of my thoughts. Just I know Blaine was, and I know Gwen got emotional.
We did a lot of control because the anger that it made all of us feel, because we felt every one of those people.
Yeah.
We felt all of their anger, fear, frustration.
Yes.
And bewilderment why this happened to them.
Yeah.
And not to mention the physical pain that they felt from being blown the hell up.
Yeah. I hope that they didn't. I hope they just went. I hope they didn't have to feel it.
Well,
I know they did. I know some did.
But a lot of them that were stuck that didn't die right away felt that pain because I know one lady, she was almost rescued and they had to leave because they saw the missiles up in that one set of windows, which were training devices, which weren't actually missiles. They cleared the whole building. This lady's, 5 minutes from being rescued, and all of a sudden they just leave her. Can you imagine? She survived. She survived.
I can tell you from my training, and I'm not sure, Tom, I don't know what exactly yours was, but I had mass casualty training. I had when you have to leave. But can you imagine that person that was trying, or those people that was trying to get her out and had to leave? Can you imagine that
thing is one of the first moments when you're doing this type of work, when you go in and there's immediate danger to you as the rescuer, you have to leave. Unfortunately, it kills you mentally and in your soul.
Yeah.
But if you're dead, you can't rescue anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I've had to leave and it just tore me apart. But I didn't show it at work. I went home and just fell apart. But that's what you do.
We've had to do the mass casualty training too in the military, so I know.
Yep.
You guys did well. I did it with some real bodies, but you guys did it with a lot more real bodies than I did.
Yeah.
But most
some of the worst were domestic standoffs.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's a gunman holding you off, and you can't go in to help the person that's bleeding.
Sounds like
bleeding out. You can't get in there because it's dangerous. They're going to shoot you, and it's that standoff, and you're like, "Come on, let's get them. We got to get in there." That golden hour.
I'm there with my bag. Quick. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and get us out of here, and thank you guys again for watching.
Yes, thank you everybody for watching.
Serial killers, supernatural, and killers. See you next week.
Have a good night, everybody.
Murderers.
There you go.
Murderers.
Hashtag Lick a Joe.
Lick a Joe.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
See ya.